What's going on, City Groups? I'm so glad that you are in the room today. If we haven't gotten the chance to meet, my name is Lainey. I am the Student Creative Director here at Radiant, and it is a big Sunday because we are answering your burning questions. We've answered a couple of them over the past couple of weeks, and I feel like this one's pretty important too, so I'm ready to jump in. I hope you guys are ready to take notes. There's going to be a lot of things that you're going to be writing down. You're going to have a lot of questions at the end of this, so make sure you're paying attention. It's going to be really important. So the question that we have all, you guys have been wanting to answer is, why do bad things happen to good people? Why do bad things happen to good people? That's a pretty burning question, if you ask me, because I don't know about you guys, but we see through a lot of the Bible, a lot of people go through some pretty tough situations, and even in our own lives, we go through some really rough situations and we feel like, why is God doing this to me? Why is this happening? Why do I deserve this to happen to me? Why did the people in the Bible deserve this to happen to them? And it's really confusing to jump into that and knowing you already have issues, and now the people in the Bible have issues, and it's just why do all these bad things happen to such good people? And just to name some, there was a guy named Joseph in the Bible who had 11 brothers, and all 11 of his brothers sold him because his father was his favorite. How crazy is that? Just because his dad had a favorite son, he had to suffer the consequences of that. He was thrown into prison for false accusations, and yet he was still used by God because he was a good person, but a lot of bad things happened to him. Another thing that we see is 11 of the 12 disciples were actually killed because they believed in Jesus. How crazy is that? Because they believed in Jesus. They were really good people. They still had to suffer the consequences because it was a bad thing that happened to them. And a pretty big example, Jesus is actually a really great example of this. He was tempted by the devil plenty of times, rejected by people. A lot of people didn't like him, and you see that a lot in the Bible. And he pays the ultimate sacrifice of dying on the cross for our sins, but did nothing to deserve that. So it begs the question, why do bad things happen to good people? So I like to think of it this way. If you are taking notes, write this down. And if you aren't taking notes, you should probably write this down because it's super important. And I like to think of it like this. And it says, if God is all good, he would end evil. If God is all powerful, he would end evil. But evil is not ended. So he must be either not all good or all powerful. But there is a flaw. We believe that response is, but evil is not ended yet. Evil is not ended yet. One day, God will end evil, and that's why we trust him. God is all good, God is all powerful, and he has not ended evil yet. I like to see this as Jesus dying for our sins because there is evil in the world. We live in a sinful world. We are sinful people. We were born into sin. Jesus died on the cross because he was the perfect example of a sinless life. He wasn't born into sin, which is why he was the perfect sacrifice for us. He shows us that even with evil in the world, he overcame it. And one day will return and end all evil in the sinful world that we live in. So you have to think of it as, why do the bad things happen to good people? Is because Jesus has not come to end evil yet. He hasn't come yet. He's still going to come, and one day he will return and end evil in the world. He just hasn't yet. And that's why we trust him. We know that he will end evil one day, and we just have to believe that. So this is my challenge for you. We know that we live in a sinful and fallen world, and we know that God does not make bad things happen. But what we need to learn and ask ourselves is this: what can I learn through these bad situations about God? As we go into small groups, come with that sense, come in with that idea of, what can I learn through this situation about God? A lot of stuff can be happening in our families, with our siblings, with our friends, and we know that God doesn't allow that to happen, but it is the idea of, what can I learn about God through that situation? So as we break out into groups, ask those questions that you may have and really challenge your faith today and go after it. I love you guys.